Let's get ready to play. They gonna see that. Hold up. That's what we doing. Fade over to that. Now play this. Streaming that. Right?
I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me. Lennox is a conqueror. No, I'm Alexander. He's no Alexander. I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from their claws. There's no one that can match me.
No affiliation. Why they faking? This ain't for debating. We the real, they really imitation. I be contemplating why this ain't no like heavy rotation on radio stations. I just pray the Lord give me patience, cause I'm running through these rappers like my name motivating. Shitting on these rappers, 9 to 5 is my occupation. Raw, you come in with your best troops, you best bring more. Already told you I got the juice like a Renthal. Already know what I'm about to do, bet your men fall. Everyone know that we got the truth, all your men false. So boss, overtaking our enemies. Moves calculated and orchestrated like symphonies. Smooth operator and bringing haters to misery. Top 5 list ain't shit unless you mention me. Yeah, that's why we don't associate. Fuck niggas make them more fuck niggas. Why they procreate? Why they overhate? Cause they time is short and a moment late. Let it culminate to they harder racing and palpitate. Cowards perpetrate like they little group is respectable. Talking intellectual, all of you homosexuals, faggots.
There's no one like me. I'm from their claws. There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat your children.
I don't want to congregate. I don't want to deal with you. I don't want to fellowship. I ain't trying to build with you. Ain't the UPK, ain't the truth. Keep it real with you. Defenders of the faith, I got no problem bumping heads with you. All that bullshit, you can take it over there with you. You'd rather be a houseboy, rather run with them field niggas. Show them to put in work. Move mountain, crush hills, nigga. Take a dead soul, breathe life and make it live, nigga. No affiliation, so it's no one to compare with us. Took the Lord's laws and just added it with fear, nigga. Aim for the body, cause you know that killer hit quicker. With these bars, I'm on my grizzly, so bear witness. You spit cold, I spit flu. Don't compare sickness. You floss diamond, I floss fringe. Don't compare dentist. You PK, we men the wall shit. We ain't Christian. Harm one of us, get pistol whipped like the gun got a belt with it. I'm bred different. The competition just a mill. I'm fed different. I stood front line on them fields. I bled different. I'd rather be a corpse than a cow. I'm led different. Shit, I'm led different. Come through like a juggernaut, so don't get in the way. And we take everything serious. We don't play. I wonder now what they gonna say. Shit, we make profits out of shooters like the NBA. You get slayed for switching sides, nigga. We ain't on the same page. Immaculate conception. Wow. These niggas bitch made. I'm sticking with the foundation where my bricks laid. You switch sides, I'd rather switch cage. You was never with us, nigga. Just know we won't miss you, nigga. Right hand hold the scriptures, nigga. Left hip hold the pistol, nigga. How you want it? You can get it spiritual and physics, nigga. Wrong ones to come against, so bring an army with you. No affiliation when you see us, make the difference with us. No affiliation when you see us, know we different, nigga. No affiliation, so no, you can't kick it with us. The wrong ones to come against, bring an army with you.
Is it in the way? No, the line is perfectly in front of my piece. Perfect.
There's nothing I can say to make you believe. There's nothing I can say to make you believe. To make you believe. What if I told you that I was the son of God? Would that be easy to believe? Or would you make it hard? And I finally learned the difference between wise and smart. When I say we bless people, they say times is hard. And all I can tell them is they ain't never lied. Reincarnated, I'm back like I ain't never died. Man, I won't say it if it can't be verified. Niggas say they soldiers, when war starts, they terrified. I'm about to let it ride, bring it back to pride of black skin, cause they ain't got a clue what's happening. And we still being punished from back then. How we gon' make a change when we too busy adapting? Buckle your seatbelts, make sure you strapped in. They showed us the trap, so now my people trapped in. Cause everything we wanted to be, they said we couldn't be it. I told them we was chosen people, they just couldn't see it. Yeah. And it ain't nothing I can say. There's nothing I can say to make them believe. To make you believe. Keep hearing footsteps in the dark, and my dogs gon' bite while the rest of y'all barking. Moving at the speed of light while y'all parking in that water with sharks. I ain't scared, I'm a dolphin. It ain't no talking, boy, we all action. Trying to build a nation, but them hoes is distracting. With that twerking on the pole and the back bends. Put on some clothes, set some goals, we can rap then. And we ain't never been the same since the crack came. Selling poison just to give it to the Jack name. They promote the lifestyle through the rap game. Flood the hood with it, then tell you it's a black thing. They really need God, but they call idols. How these jits 14 with assault rifles? They waiting for better days. Now can I paraphrase? Niggas will kill their own brother for a pair of J's. And it ain't nothing I can say. It's nothing I can say to make you believe. To make you believe. Let me say it anyway.
Because I'm willing to fight against drug dealers if they Muslim, if they Christian, if they atheist, if they Buddhist, if they any black man. Guess what? I'm gonna say something about it. Because you know what? Just like you ain't gonna, like your boy said, it ain't gonna happen. Guess what? I'm not letting nobody sell you drugs without me saying that. I'm not gonna do it.
My whole life was trying to find something.
No, let's put this song. Let this. Oh, that's all right. That's all right. Shalom, Israel. We are the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under the commanding General Yohana. We've been bringing this truth since 1969. And what is that truth? That truth is that the so-called blacks, the so-called Hispanics, and the so-called Native Indians are the true Jews of the Bible. And the white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of. Tonight is Tuesday night, and everybody knows what Tuesday night is. Tuesday night is Brotherhood night. And the one thing that we lacking in our society, and what I mean when I say our society, I'm talking about the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. What we lacking in our society is brotherhood. What is brotherhood? Can somebody tell me what is brotherhood? What's brotherhood, brother?
Brotherhood is pretty much the love for another brother.
Love for another brother. Basically, you really can't get it wrong, right? What is brotherhood? Brotherhood is the love for another brother. Brotherhood is what? Following the law, statutes, and commandments. Brotherhood is helping your brothers out when they need it. Brotherhood is being there for your people. Brotherhood is loving your people and not the heathens. You understand? Brotherhood is showing love to your people and not the other nations. A problem with our people is we show more love to the heathens and our oppressor than we do our own brothers and sisters. When I say our own brothers and sisters, like I said, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we have a problem with that. We have a big problem with that, you know?
Right.
We got a problem where things happen in our community and a lot of us can't recognize who the culprit is. The drugs in our community. We blame it on our own brothers and sisters. We don't bring the drugs into our community. The filthiness, the filth. Think about this, right? Think about this. Wherever there's a filthy ghetto, there you find our people. That's ironic. You understand what I'm saying? That's ironic that you find our people in all the filthiest neighborhoods, the slums and the ghettos. That's not by happenstance. It was designed like that. Our oppressor is the one that makes our communities like that. Think about this, right? 3 years ago, what was that? About 3 or 4 years ago, I can remember in my community, my own community. I remember when trash pickup we had trash pickup twice a week. You understand what I'm saying? And there was a lot of trash then. So now when you break it down and you go down to once a week, how much trash are people collecting? People putting out trash, you understand what I'm saying? When it's not even trash day because they're not trying to keep the trash in their house. And what happens then? Now you have an overflow of trash. You know, this is our oppressor. This is not our people. Now, I'm not saying that we are the perfect people. You understand what I'm saying? We do have our flaws, and that's shown all through the Bible. But given the circumstances that we in, given the conditions that we are forced to live in, you understand? Ghettos and slums and the way they look are not of our doing. You understand what I'm saying? You can go 3 blocks away or 4 blocks away from a ghetto and a slum and find great, beautiful oppressors. The oppressors' communities are beautiful. Mm-hmm. Why is that? You understand what I'm saying? How can you go right down into the heart of Baltimore City in the projects and then go right around the corner to Little Italy and it looks like you in 2 different worlds? Why does it look like you in 2 different worlds? Because you are in 2 different worlds. You are in the world that your oppressor built for you, and then you step into the world where the oppressor lives. When we went down to the when they had the mayoral candidates come into Little Italy, you drove through ghettos to go into a beautifully, nicely knit community. We got in there, and then one of the oppressors talked about how they pay to get trash pickup twice a week. These are business owners, you understand, in Little Italy. All of them own businesses. They can afford to do that. You understand what I'm saying? But only 4 blocks away, people are only getting trash pickup once a week. In a society where they are straining you for taxes. They are taxing you on everything. You paying more taxes than anybody in the whole city. Our oppressor is not paying the taxes that we're paying. They're not even paying the water bills that we're paying. You understand what I'm saying? And this is the reason why they have money to upkeep their community. But I'm glad the Most High sent this coronavirus in. Right. Because this coronavirus is destroying their whole world. Now they see how we feel and how we live and what it's like to not have a job, what it's like to not have money constantly coming in. Their society is being destroyed so much so that they're trying to open back up the cities and all the cities in the states, and they open them up too early, and something big is going to happen. But they so desperate to make money. Matter of fact, Trump is so desperate because all of his hotels are empty. His golf courses are empty. He doesn't even want to be president right now. You understand what I'm saying? So things are so destroyed, he doesn't even want to be president. This is the crazy thing about this coronavirus. The coronavirus is exposing who these people really are. We have a president, they have a president that can get up there and tell bold-faced lies. Now everybody knows he's lying. Even the people who behind him are embarrassed by him. You understand what I'm saying? But the Most High tells us to do what? Listen, we didn't even have to go through this if we had followed instruction. You understand what I'm saying? If we had followed instruction, the Bible tells us specifically, you understand, not to follow these people. The Bible tells us not to do certain things. If we had listened to the Bible, we wouldn't be in the position that we're in right now. But we're in the position, but now the playing field is almost level. It ain't totally level. It's a way to go. But they feeling how we feel every day. It's going to be a point, it's going to come to a point at some time where you're going to see these people start jumping out of windows, killing themselves. You understand what I'm saying? Listen, a person who has never had a hard time in their life is going to struggle through this. Think about it, right? We've been struggling since we've been here. This is normalcy for us. You understand what I'm saying? This is normal to us. You understand? To sit back and collect a check, that's normal to us. You understand? And us, and the ones of us who are still working, I mean, shoot, it's business as usual. Nothing has changed in our life. Think about this, right? What's that, in 1919, right? When the Great Depression hit and Black Wall Street was booming. How can you have a people on this side of the track spiraling out of control downward, and then the people on this side of the track steadily moving up? And when I say they steadily moving up, I'm talking about our people. The blacks were steadily moving up. Why was that? How could they possibly be going through a depression, a great depression on one side, and these people on this side are aspiring? You understand what I'm saying? How can that be? How can that happen? It's only one way it could happen. You understand? And let's go into the Bible. Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 16. Oh, excuse me, stop. 2 Corinthians chapter 6. Verse 17. Second Corinthians chapter 6, verse 17.
It says
2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 17. You got that?
2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 17. Wherefore come out from among them.
Say that again for me.
Wherefore come out from among them.
One more time.
Wherefore come out from among them.
It says, wherefore come out from among them. What does that mean? To come out from among them. To come out from among them means to come out from their customs, their cultures, everything that they do, the things that are in them to do, the murder, the drugs, the fornication, the pork eating, the shrimp eating, the crab, the lobster, all of these things that destroy people. It says, come out from them. It says, wherefore come out from among them. Leave the things that they do alone to them. Leave those things alone. Let them do them and let us do the Bible. Right. Come out from among them. Stop destroying your people with these drugs. Stop getting high. Stop being drunkards. Stop smoking. Stop smoking weed. You understand what I'm saying? The very things that destroy. Think about this, right? This 420 just passed, right? The 420 is the new holiday. This is an oppressor's holiday. And I'm going to show you how oppressive it is. They just made up a stupid holiday called 420 where you can openly smoke weed out in the open, right? Now, they got all these weed dispensaries coming in now, right? And in order to get this medical marijuana, and they're going to have recreational marijuana, you're going to have a card, right? If you're going to have a card, that means you're going to have to sign and say, yes, I smoke weed, right? So you can get this card, okay? So now you can smoke recreational weed openly. So what's going to happen when you go for a job interview? Think about it. What's going to happen when you go for a job interview? Oh, I have a weed card that says I can smoke weed. Oh, I'm sorry, we can't hire you. You understand? This weed card doesn't guarantee you to be able to work. This weed card is an open pass for you to sell yourself out. You understand what I'm saying? So now you can't get a job because you openly smoke weed and you have a card displaying it, and now you have just told them that you've done it. So now you can't get a job. So what's going to happen is now you have to get a job making minimum wage. Making minimum wage is a no-no in trying to get an apartment, because there's no way you can get a place to live on minimum wage in Baltimore City or anywhere in Maryland. And in that fact, it's damn near nowhere in the United States that you can live off of minimum wage, unless you got a project apartment, unless you have what they call it, Section 8, unless you can get Section 8, and they clamping down on that too. You ain't gonna be able to smoke weed on Section 8 either. That's a pathway to destruction. Everything that they do that looks good is only to destroy our people. You understand what I'm saying? Right. To be able to openly, our people, we trust in everybody but the people who love us. The Most High loves us, and He tells us not to smoke weed, not to put the flame to the mouth. And I'm paraphrasing. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Everything He tells us not to do that's in the culture of our oppressor, we love to do. So now you got a card that say you can smoke weed, but you can't afford to buy weed. So now what do you have to do? You have to go out, sell drugs, rob people, break into houses, steal for a living. You understand what I'm saying? Everything that they do is a setup to destroy us. They not gonna worry about if a white boy smoke weed. You understand what I'm saying? They give him a pass. Oh, just like, think about it, right? Just like just after Vietnam War, just after the 60s, right? When all of these brothers was coming home from these wars and things and was on opioids and was on drugs and everything like that. It was a crime. It was a crime. You got locked up if you got high. I know a brother that died because they locked him up for getting high. He was a junkie. And he died in jail. The third day he was in there, he was having withdrawal, he died. But now that their people are suffering from these opioids, now it's a, what do they call it? What do they call it? It's a sickness. It's a sickness now, and we've got to help these people on opioids. See, now that their people are dying from the same thing that they set out to destroy us with, now it's an addiction. Now it's a problem. Now it's a medical condition. You understand what I'm saying? Everything that they set up that looks good to us, that we know ain't good, is set to destroy us. This is the reason why the Most High tells us what? He tells us, wherefore come out from among them. Leave their cultures and their customs alone. To get high is a European custom and culture. To get high is a Japanese custom and culture. To get high is a East Indian custom and culture. To get high is a Chinese custom and culture. It says, wherefore come out from among them. Leave that stuff alone. What you got, brother?
No, I was, it's funny that you say that because, back then, it wasn't even no opioid thing. They said drugs.
Drugs.
What Nancy Reagan say? Say no to drugs.
No to drugs.
Drugs. That's the thing, some commercials, they say crack addiction, and it never was a opioid sickness.
And you hit that on the money. You just hit that on the money. Because I didn't even think about that. They said it was drugs.
Right.
But when it comes to them, it's an opioid addiction. It sounds a lot more sweeter, an opioid addiction. It has to be medically treated.
Right.
You hear that?
It
has to be medically treated. These people need help. But when it was us, it was drugs, and they need to be locked up.
Right.
They are super predators.
Right.
You understand? Say no to drugs. We've got to get these drug dealers off the street. Now we've got to help these medically induced, opioid-induced people. We got to get them correct. We need to put them into facilities and help them get their lives together, so they can be productive people on the streets. But when it came to us, we need to get these murderers, robbers, and drug dealers off the street. We need to get these drugs and these people who deal drugs and use drugs off the street. That's how they do us. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
It says, wherefore come out from among them. Leave those customs and cultures alone. You got that, brother? Go ahead, finish reading that.
And be ye separate, saith the Lord.
It says, and be ye separate. What is it to be separate? What is it to be separate?
To be separate is to don't even do any of their customs.
Exactly. And it also means to be away from them.
Right.
Separate yourself. You understand what I'm saying? You have to separate yourself away from them. Listen. We all live in the same city, state, and country, right? You can be around them, but don't have to be of them. You understand? You have to separate yourself. You have to stand out. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
We have to stand out. The Most High tells us, even though you got to be around them, you got to stand out. You got to be different. You got to be separate. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
You can't, when you try to be them, you become them. You die just like them. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Think about this coronavirus, right? Coronavirus started off destroying the heathen. Then it started to destroy the oppressor, right? Then all of a sudden, it began to destroy us, and it began to destroy us more than it was destroying the heathens and the oppressor. Why is that? Why is it destroying us more than it's destroying them? I'm gonna give somebody we're gonna give it 30 seconds, see if somebody can answer that. Why is it destroying? Why is this coronavirus destroying us more than it's destroying our oppressor? Somebody can hit that. 30 seconds. We're going to give it 30 seconds. 30 seconds. I forgot to have my thing on. Give them 30. 30. Anybody on there? Not this off?
Yeah, you got Keisha.
All right, let's see if somebody can give us an answer. Miss Q. There's Miss Q. Because we doing status, because we not doing, yeah, okay, if you saying the statues, you saying statues, Miss Q?
Yeah.
Okay, because we not doing the statues, right? That's right. Because we not following the laws, the statutes, and commandments. Listen, had we been following the laws, statutes, and commandments, we wouldn't be eating pork, right? And if we wasn't eating pork, we wouldn't be high in cholesterol. We wouldn't have high blood pressure. We wouldn't have all this heart disease. We wouldn't have eating shrimp, crab, and lobster. We wouldn't have that with the asthma. We wouldn't have the fibroids and thyroids. All of these things like this. All of these conditions that the coronavirus affects the most. We wouldn't have these conditions. You understand what I'm saying? And because we don't follow the law, statutes, and commandments, this is the reason why we suffering the most. Think about this, right? When in Egypt, when Moses told Pharaoh, "Let my people go," and the firstborn of every household in Egypt would die, right? If they didn't cover what? The lintel and the post. The lintel is the supporting beam right above the post, and then you got the two side posts. He said, put the blood of the lamb on the post and the lintel, right? Mm-hmm. This is so that the death angel would pass over, right? That's why we celebrate the Passover. And yeah, Passover has not been canceled. The Passover has just been put on hold. We still gonna have the Passover, so that's just a reminder. But think about it, right? If they did not put the blood on the post and the lintel, what would happen?
Everybody.
The death angel would come through and take the firstborn of that family, right? Think about this. We did not put the blood on the post and the lintel, so now we got heart disease. Now we got high blood pressure. Now we got high cholesterol levels, right? So now when this coronavirus, aka death angel, comes through, what happens? We are affected, right? Because we decided to eat that shrimp, crab, and that lobster. You understand what I'm saying? Because we decided to do the things that the Most High told us not to do. Now we being affected by the same coronavirus that he brought in to destroy their economy and to destroy their kingdom. It's also destroying us. See, the same thing happened to the people in Egypt. Now, I'm not saying that some people I'm not saying that Israelites died in the Passover, because it doesn't say that anywhere in the Bible. But he tells us what to do so that we wouldn't be destroyed, right? Right. And in the same instance, had we listened to these laws, statutes, and commandments, had we not been eating that shrimp, crab, and lobster, had we separated ourselves from them, you understand what I'm saying? Had we lived amongst our own, we wouldn't be suffering the way that we are. Right. You understand what I'm saying? We are a product of what we choose to serve, or who we choose to serve. And when you choose to serve your oppressor, you die and you sink in a what's that? You sink in the ship along with your oppressor. And basically, right now, the only thing that's happening is we sinking with our oppressor. Right. Because we choose to follow our oppressor. Right. You understand what I'm saying? Go ahead, what you got?
And that's so heavy what you're saying, because we still choose to follow our oppressor, and we still choose to follow the other heathens. You know, everybody's, you know, like what they just shut down. They started to open up the cities. Okay, last week they opened up, I think, Atlanta. Now
Georgia, right? Yeah, right there in Georgia. Yep.
Yeah, now they got 200 new cases.
Yeah, exactly. It's supposed to.
Right, they're supposed to.
Supposed to.
You know what I'm saying? Then this the kicker right here for me. You know, and now you can know it's the Lord. Everybody gonna say, "Oh, it ain't the Lord." Okay, then all right. Then why did the Lord give all unclean, damn near all unclean animals that people eat COVID-19?
Exactly.
You got all these pigs that they destroy, and they got pig farms. What niggas is doing? Still going to McDonald's, eating
bacon cheeseburgers and bacon double bacon, all that sausage, egg, and cheese.
Muffin, exactly. And they wondering why they getting COVID-19.
Exactly. That's being disobedient.
Right.
And when you disobedient, think about this, right? When you was young, and your parents told you not to do something over and over and over and over and over and over again, eventually they said, listen, all right, you gotta pay, right?
Right.
After so much time of being disobedient, you have to pay. After being disobedient to the Most High and not following the law, statutes, and commandments, you have to pay. Eventually, you have to pay. And right now, what's going on with our people? We just paying the price of following our oppressor. We paying the price for following these heathen nations. We paying the price for being disobedient. That's it. We just paying the price. And what does Most High do? Most High says he does not. The Most High does not judge us individually. He judges us as a nation. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
We are judged as a nation. And when we fall together. When we rise together. You understand?
Right.
That's just the way it is. Right now, we're supposed to be watching the destruction of our oppressor's kingdom. But instead, now we have to worry about our people falling and dying. It started off beautiful. Just to watch the destruction. Think about it, the first 2 days, they were crippled. The first 2 days. Think about it. As strong as the oppressor looks to a lot of people, the oppressor's kingdom is not that strong. The Most High brings a simple virus and cripples a whole country. Matter of fact, the Most High crippled a whole world.
Right.
No, let me say a whole planet.
Right.
We ain't gonna use world. We gonna use planet.
Right.
He crippled the whole planet with a single virus.
Mm-hmm. That's the beginning.
And then I'm gonna show you something, right? Think about this, right? It started off with the heathens and then our oppressor. But our people got so proud. And the very people that got proud, the Most High said, look, I'm going to show you how disobedient you have been. And he brought the same affliction upon us for being disobedient. How can you think about this, right? How you going to get, we do this when we playing the game, right? Not this all. We playing Call of Duty, right? Mm-hmm. Just before the game over, if you losing, you hurry up and jump out and you quit. You understand what I'm saying? That's what the people think that's what they try to do. You see the oppressor losing and you think you're going to jump out just before the game is over. But bam, Most High say, no, you can't get out of this game. Right. Because you started on the side of the oppressor. And this is where you will end the game, on the side of the oppressor. You understand what I'm saying? You can't jump out of this game. If you're not on the Most High side right now, you can't jump sides. There's no jumping sides. Right. You got time though. You understand? But the people who jump sides, I mean, you can't really jump sides, but you can jump into this UPK now. But you got to give up that shrimp, crab, and lobster. See, you can't jump sides if you still eating shrimp, crab, and lobster. You understand? You can't jump sides if you still doing the duty of the oppressor by oppressing your own people. You can't jump sides if you still living the life of the oppressor and destroying your own people. I'm talking about the politicians and the preachers and those pastors that destroys our neighborhoods and our cities. You understand? Oh, you can jump sides, but you have to give up the side of the oppressor. You have to give up all of the oppressor's nature. You have to give up all his customs and his culture. Can you do that? Go ahead.
And that's just crazy how the Lord just, like you said, it just, you know, if you ain't on the right side, he's gonna cripple you.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Look how many pastors got crippled. Look, the whole Christian movement got crippled, got exposed. The Lord exposed them bad, you know, really, really bad. Look, all them healers, you know what I'm saying? They got the Christian church out here begging for money.
Right.
What Commander General Hunter say? Get a job.
Get a job.
Get a job.
They gotta go get a job.
Right.
But you know what's even worse though, right? Is the people, when these churches open back up, the people that's gonna run right back to them. Seeing that those preachers and pastors did nothing for them in the time of need. Seeing that when they needed the Christian church at the most, the Christian church was not there for them. The Christian church shut their doors. And matter of fact, the Christian church shut their doors and said, still send your tithes in, email them or cash app us. You understand what I'm saying? How wicked can that be? How wicked can you be as to be a pastor to close your doors but say, look, I still need my tithes to pay for this church?
Where the food drives at?
Where the food drives, just like you said. Yeah, exactly. Where the food drives at.
Good night.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
They don't do stuff like that. You understand what I'm saying? And they make up. I heard TD Jakes come on there and say some wicked stuff. You understand? Oh, now that we getting over this coronavirus, we know we gonna do this and we gonna do that. We need to come together and we need to get back and pray and all. Think about, when is the praying gonna stop? When are y'all gonna start coming into action? Think about this, right? Peter he collected the money from the people, right? The people sold what they had. Peter took the money that they gave Peter, and then he took it and dispersed it amongst the people who needed it the most. You understand what I'm saying? He dispersed it amongst the people who needed it the most. That's already on. Just hit this one over here. Okay. But I turned this one on when we started, so that should be good. Hey, knock this off. That, come on. Let's go. What's up? He funny as a mother. He funny. Hey, but listen, check this out. Like I was saying, right? Peter took the money. The people sold the things that they had, and they brought the money and gave it to Peter, right? And Peter took the money and dispersed it amongst the people who needed it the most, as it was supposed to be done, right? The Christian church takes your money and disperses it amongst themselves and tell you need to pray harder. You understand?
Right.
You need to go into your prayer closet and pray a little bit harder. And while you in there praying, make sure you cash app me some money.
Good night.
You understand what I'm saying? What did the Christian church do through this pandemic? And this pandemic is still going. What is the Christian church doing? Somebody tell me of a Christian church that has done anything even before the pandemic. How many people's houses did they save? How many rents did they pay? How many gas and electrics did they stop from getting cut off? Huh? Tell me that. Because I can tell you a couple. I can tell you many a time the UPK has done it. You understand? I've been among that. You understand what I'm saying? Right. I've been among that. I can vouch for that. You understand what I'm saying? I can vouch and say when the UPK call and say we got a brother in need, everybody do this. We need brothers to do this. I can vouch for that. I can vouch for when the UPK call and say we got a brother in distress. He got a family down. I can vouch for that. I ain't never seen it in the church, as many churches as I done been to.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Where is the Christian church? Y'all need to get back into this UPK. Y'all need to get into this UPK. Not back, but y'all need to get into this UPK. Leave that Christian church alone. The Most High says what? Wherefore come out from among them and be ye separate. Look, Make yourself separate.
Right.
When he says be ye separate, you supposed to be even in the midst of them. You supposed to stand out. You supposed to look different. You supposed to shine among them. Be ye separate. Go ahead.
Okay. Self the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing.
And touch not the unclean thing. Listen. It says, touch not the unclean thing. What is the unclean thing? Anything that goes against what the Most High is telling you to do. That is the unclean thing. Just like we said before, that shrimp, crab, and that lobster. Helping out your brother. Backbiting and talking against your brother. That's the unclean thing. That's an unclean thing. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Not helping a brother in need when you know you got it. Think about all these basketball players, all these millionaire basketball players, all of these athletes and entertainers. Think about Oprah Winfrey. Think about the millions of people she could help. She'd rather help the oppressor. You understand what I'm saying? This is what it means by, and touch not the unclean thing. That's an unclean thing for her to help the oppressor and not her own people.
Right.
You ever see that episode? Well, I seen that episode where she gave out cards to all of the whole audience that came to her show one time.
Oh, the G6.
And they was all white people. She loved to help white people.
You'll get a car. You'll get a car.
That's an unclean thing. That's so unclean.
Right.
You'd rather help the oppressor than your own people. That uncleanness is in her mind. She is destroyed in the mind. That is the unclean thing.
She destroyed.
Go ahead. Oh, definitely. She definitely destroyed.
Right.
She destroyed in a worse way.
Her and Gail.
Exactly. Her and Gail and Steve Harvey.
Good night.
Go ahead.
And I will receive you.
And I will receive you. You help your people and I will receive you. You do for your people and not the oppressor, and I will receive you. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
We are a destroyed people. You understand? We are a destroyed people. We love the oppressor more than we love our own. And we see that in everyday life. Like I said, look at Oprah Winfrey. Look at Gail. Look at Steve Harvey. And look at all of these black athletes that's making all of these millions of dollars and deciding to up and marry white women. All of these athletes that's making all these millions of dollars and up and decide to marry white men. You understand? They doing the unclean thing. You understand? They are destroyed. You understand what I'm saying? This is the unclean thing. Go ahead, what you got?
And that's so heavy what you bringing out. And, Commander General Yohana enlightened me on something, that I should have been thinking about, but it's just like,
Right.
it's just something to think about. Now that we got this pandemic, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We got this pandemic and you see how things could roll. We got all these millionaire nickels, Salaki.
Yeah.
We got all these millionaires, you know what I'm saying, ain't helping the black community. I mean, just 10 of them get together and buy 5 farms.
Yep.
Y'all got horses in y'all backyards?
Right.
Why don't you go buy like 50 acres to 100 acres, buy some livestock and sell it to your people?
Right.
Why can't, good night. The black community will grow overnight just by that move alone. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Can you imagine we having our own produce, our own livestock? That's what I'm shooting for now. Now it's like, yeah, I want a house, but now I want a house on a farm. You know what I'm saying?
General Yohana was talking about that a couple of weeks ago, man.
Yeah.
He only brought out a part of it, man, but that was real heavy. Boy, I was
Super
like,
heavy.
man, I was pumped up, man.
Right.
It was like, God,
Hey, right?
that's a vision.
Right.
You know what I mean? and it's a vision that we all know is going to help our people. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not going to help only certain people. It's going to help our people.
Our people, right.
You know?
Especially all that money they got.
Exactly. You know? I mean, but think about it, right? Everybody coming together. Listen, I always bring this up, right? On CNN said that 70% of the 70% of the American economy is built on the consumer. And like I said before, you have to understand who is the consumer. And remember, a consumer only takes in. A consumer doesn't sell, right? A consumer buys, spends.
Right.
A consumer doesn't sell. If you sell, you are not a consumer, right? Because consumers only take in. Consume. To consume means to take in.
Right.
We are the consumer because we don't own any businesses. We don't own anything that can actually sit on the stock market or the stock exchange. You understand what I'm saying? We don't own anything that can actually build a community. This is the reason why we are the consumer. You understand what I'm saying? What you ready to say?
I was ready to say we are the stock too.
Yeah, we are the stock too.
Yeah.
You know, we on that.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And remember, we were the first commodity on the stock exchange.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? They sold slaves first. We were the first thing on the auction block.
First thing. That's just
You understand what I'm saying?
good night.
We are the consumer. So if we are 70% of the world, of the United States economy, we make or break the economy. Think about this. Back in 2008, when the stock market, when the housing market crashed, why did the housing market crash?
Why did it crash?
Why did it crash?
Recently?
Back in 2008. The housing market crashed in 2008. Why did it crash?
You know, that's a good. I remember it crashing.
It crashed because of defaulty loans, right?
Okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, probably about 60 to 65% of those loans were loans to African Americans, which were overly inflated, which where the interest rates were so high that we couldn't afford it. So because we couldn't afford those loans, bam, defaulting in loans. Then they had to what? Foreclosure on all the houses. That foreclosure was because of us. They had a half of a crash, a stock market crash back then. That was what did they call it? They called it a recession. It wasn't a depression, it was a recession.
Right.
Because they actually was able to pull themselves out of that. It was a struggle, but they remember when they gave out all those stimulus checks back then. Remember that?
Right.
Because they had to pump money back into the economy. Mm-hmm. Well, what they made a mistake and did was they made a mistake and gave the money to the banks instead of the people. Right. And the banks held on to the money and started giving their executives bonuses and wasn't giving the money to the people. Wasn't helping the people save their homes. So now they got the money and they got the houses back, but the market was still destroyed. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
That was because of black people. That was because of the so-called blacks, Hispanic, and Native Indian. That was because of us. So now, the same thing, right? From Wells Fargo, yeah, exactly, Miss Q. Yeah, Wells Fargo was one of them, one of the banks. It was a whole lot of banks, you know what I mean? But you have to look at what they saying, what the people saying. Just like I said, on CNN, they said the consumer is 70% of the American economy. We are the consumer. It showed back in 2008. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's showing right now. Why is it showing right now? Because even though we in a depression, black people not feeling it like that.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
No,
because we used to being in this state. They are the ones that are not used to being in this state. You understand what I'm saying? But if we had listened to the Most High, we had separated ourselves from them. If we had come from among them, our situation would be different than it is now. You understand what I'm saying? What was that? You understand what I'm saying? So let's go to let's grab another scripture. We're gonna go to Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 2. Yep. You got it?
Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 2. Thus said the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen.
It says, learn not the way of the heathen. What does it mean by when it says, learn not the way of the heathen?
It says, learn not the way of the heathen.
Learn not the way of the heathen. Let's do this. I'm going to give the people online about 30 seconds. Let's ask the people online, what does it mean when it says, learn not the way of the heathen? We're going to give you about 30 seconds. Somebody punch me in an answer. Learn not the way of the heathen. He said, learn not the way of the heathen. Okay. You got that, brother? Learn not the way of the heathen?
Learn not the way of the heathen, which means just the same as the last verse, which was, what was the last verse? Same thing as that, you know what I'm saying? This is a precept for the other,
Right.
Scripture.
Come out from among them.
Come out from among them.
Be ye separate.
Right.
Learn not the way of the heathen. Stop learning their customs and their culture.
Right.
Stop getting high. Stop eating that shrimp, crab, and lobster. Stop doing what they do.
Right. Stop eating pork
And
for all you Christians out there.
exactly.
Because pork was never in our, it was never in our dietary law. We should never ever eat something that eats everything,
Exactly.
including their babies.
And to go in a little bit deeper on that, think about this too, right? Even in this land right here, the pig was never indigenous to this land.
Pig was never indigenous.
They brought those pigs from Europe.
Yes, they did.
Those pigs come from Europe, and they brought a bunch of pigs from Europe and released them into this land. The pig was never indigenous to this land.
Right. You
understand what I'm saying? That's just a little history side right there.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? But it says, learn not the way of the heathen.
Right.
And this is, like I said, this is a scripture that's scriptures like this sprinkled all throughout the Bible. You understand? Learn not the way of the heathen. Come from among them. Be not, be not of them. You understand what I'm saying? Right. It's scriptures like this spread all throughout the Bible. And the Most High tells us, and he tells us this over and over and over again, because he knows to us the heathens and our oppressors' ways and their customs and their culture can look enticing. Right. You understand what I'm saying? When think about it, even with Adam and Eve in the garden, when he said they hid among the trees and covered themselves in the fig leaves, right? They covered themselves in the customs and culture of another nation. This is in the beginning. This is in Genesis. We've been doing this since Genesis. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And the Most High has sprinkled this in throughout the Bible to be a reminder to us to keep ourselves clean, not to touch the unclean. You understand? Not to deal in the unclean, not to deal with the heathen nations, I don't mean to say not to deal with the heathen nation, because you can do business with them, but not to deal in the customs and cultures of the other nations and the heathen nations. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
This is what the Most High tells us, you know, and it says, learn not the way of the heathen. You know, don't learn their customs and cultures. Don't get caught up in what they do. You understand? Let them do them, and let us do what the Most High, what thus saith the Lord. You understand what I'm saying? Learn not the way of the heathen. And it says, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. You understand? Don't be distraught of the signs of heaven just because the sun, the moon, and the stars begin to line up. Don't get dismayed by that stuff. Let the heathen do that. That's a custom and culture of the heathen nations. And because we want to get into all this Egyptology, and when the sun and the moon line up and all of this bull crap, you understand? We get caught up in other customs and cultures and religion. Then we get caught up in religion. You understand what I'm saying? The Bible is not a religious book. The Bible is a moral compass for our people. The Bible is a dietary law for our people. This Bible is instructions of how to live for our people. You understand what I'm saying? It has nothing to do with religion. You understand? But that's what a lot of our people get caught up in, that, thinking that this book is a religious book when it's far from that. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
This book has nothing to do with that religion. For the heathen are dismayed at them. Let the heathen be dismayed at that stuff. Let the heathen get excited about the stars and the moon and the sun and all that stuff lining up in the eclipse and all of this type of stuff happening and all of that type of stuff, the blood moon and all of this type. Let them have that. Let them be dismayed. Let them dance butt naked in the moonlight and all that old type of stuff. That's not us.
Right.
You understand? We don't get this. We are not dismayed.
Right.
Let them have their Halloween and their whatever they do on certain days because of this bull crap, Friday the 13th and all that old type of stuff. Let them have that.
Right.
You understand? That's not us. You feel me?
Right.
You follow them, you follow their customs and culture, you have to pay. It's just as simple as that.
Right.
You feel me? When you decide to follow the customs and the cultures of other nations, you just have to pay. The things that happen to you because of what you decide to do. Let's go to Amos, chapter 3, verse 1. You got that, brother? Or you still looking?
I ain't never this slow on the gun like that.
Listen, the Most High tells us what? Learn not the way of the heathen. You understand what I'm saying?
You said Amos chapter 3 verse 1?
Amos chapter 3 verse 1.
Amos chapter 3 verse 1. Hear this word that the Lord has spoken against you, O children of Israel,
Go ahead.
against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt.
That's what we were saying before, right? Most High doesn't judge us individually. He judges us as a whole nation. He judges us as a family.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
And this judgment was against the whole family which he brought up from out of the land of Egypt. You understand what I'm saying? Go ahead.
saying, "You only have I known."
It says, "You only have I known." Listen, the Most High created every family and every nation across the face of this earth. But right here, he's saying, "You only have I known." What does it mean by when he says, "You only have I known"? Because it's evident that he created every family on the face of the earth. Everybody come from Adam, right?
Right.
After the flood, After the flood, Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, and their 3 wives were the only ones living on the face of the earth, right?
Right.
And every nation comes from Noah. Every nation comes from Adam.
Right.
Right? Go ahead. So what does it mean when he says, "You only have I known"?
Which means what he's talking about is only the chosen seed of Abraham, Isaac, the chosen seed, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Only that nation, which is the 12 tribes of Israel, which is right back of you, those are the only people that the Lord have dealt with, only bang with.
Right. Basically, right? That's true, right? But when it says, "You only have I known," known is like when it says known, "You only have I known." That was an old English word that was used for when a man was intimate with a woman. He has known her, right? Well, in this instant right here, it's saying, "You only have I known," meaning you are the only ones that I have an intimate relationship with. Right. You understand what I'm saying? I created all of the nations, but you only have I known. You only have that are the only ones that I have an intimate relationship with. You are the only ones of the covenant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Right. You understand what I'm saying? You only have I known. You are the only ones that I have a relationship with.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? You only have I known. Go ahead.
You only have I known of all the families of the earth.
Of all the families of the earth. Go ahead.
Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquity.
Therefore, since I have a relationship with you, right? Because you only have I known, because I only have a relationship with you, you are the ones that I will punish for all your iniquity. What is iniquity?
Iniquity is going against the law.
Sin.
Not the sin.
Sin. Basically, sin. You only have I known. Because I have a relationship with you, you only have I known. And because you only have I known, when you step out of line, you are the ones that will be punished. Think about this, right? These Chinese people have been eating bat, rat, cat, dog, and all of that stuff since forever. I was just watching a karate movie from way back in the day, an old karate movie. The Chinese dude actually caught a snake and skinned the snake back, chopped it up, fried it up, and then gave it was a Shaolin movie. And he gave everybody sneaking it. He was sneaking it at first, put it in the rolls, put the snake meat in the rolls and was passing it to his brothers. Then one of the Shaolin monk teachers got one and bit into it. He was like, "Oh, damn, this is good." They eating snake. They've been doing this for a long time.
Right.
This is heathen customs and culture. Let them do them.
Right.
I don't punish them for that, but if you keep eating certain things are going to happen to you.
Right.
But I punish you for your iniquity, for your sin, because only we are the only ones that stand under these laws, statutes, and commandments. What's that? Psalms 147, 19 and 20 says we are the only ones subject, and I'm just paraphrasing, to these laws, statutes, and commandments. He has only given them to us. The other nations have not known these, right?
Right.
That's what it says, right?
Right.
Exactly. So, like I was saying, they gave all of them that, and boom, and they like that. You understand? They've been eating this snake, bat, rat, and all this stuff since forever.
I mean,
you understand what I'm saying? They've been doing this since forever. But we are the ones punished for our iniquity. Why are we the ones punished for our iniquity? Because we are the only ones that live under sin.
Right.
We are the ones subject to sin. Because we are the ones that are subject to the law, statutes, and commandments. He only gave us the law, statutes, and commandments. He didn't give them to the other nations. The other nations have not known them. You understand what I'm saying? Go ahead. What you going to say?
I would already say, you're totally right, because I don't recall us eating sushi in the 90s.
No, we didn't.
We ain't
But what are we doing? Think about it, right? You just what you just said, right? What are we doing? We've been talking about this all night. What are we doing?
We are we're learning the way of the heathen.
Exactly. Bam, you hit that right on the money. We learning the way of the heathen.
Right.
We following their customs and culture, dumb stuff. Just like you said, and I was saying that, I said that a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember in the 90s where we was eating sushi and all of that.
Right.
I can't remember when we was eating calamari.
Calamari.
Think about it, right? Octopus. When has blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians ever ate octopus? Think about it.
Being under oppressor.
But when you live amongst your oppressor, when you live amongst the heathen nations, you pick up customs and cultures of those nations. This is the reason why Martin Luther King destroyed us.
Right.
With integration. What we say, every time we talk about integration, what we say, when you integrate into something, you become the thing that you integrate into. When you integrate into your oppressor, you begin to hate your people. When you are a willing participant in integrating into your oppressor's society, you begin to hate your own people. Think about people that say, look, I'm trying to get up out of this ghetto. I want to go live where white people live at.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? That's hate. That's self-hatred.
Right.
Man, I hate living around black people. How can you hate living around black people when you black?
Right.
Ain't your family black? So you hate living around your family. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
It sounds like it's an oxymoron, but it's not. It's just self-hatred. You understand what I'm saying? How can you hate living amongst the people that you are? Because what? You have fallen into the customs and culture of your oppressor. You have learned the way of the heathen.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? It's as simple as that. You feel me? It ain't nothing that's deep. It ain't nothing that's heavy. It ain't nothing that you got to go to college for 8 years and study and find out. It ain't something that an epiphany find and you have a dream and bam, you wake up in the middle of the night and say, I got it. It's simple. The Bible gives us the instructions right here. You understand what I'm saying? This is the reason why it says, come from among them. Learn not the way of the heathen. You understand what I'm saying? Be not dismayed. You feel me?
Right.
I mean, it's simple.
Right. It's simple. Right.
And it's amazing, right? Because I was there before. Not understanding our people are destroyed or being destroyed by something that I didn't understand. So in not understanding why we were being destroyed, now I want to go live where the white people live at. I want to live amongst the white people. Now when I sit out there and I'm sitting out there with our people, I understand why we're doing what we do. And now it makes it more easier for me to walk up to our people and talk to our people. Whereas I was like, man, I'm leaving them alone. You know what I mean? Now I'm able to walk up, and I do it all the time, walk up and talk to our people.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And then you got people that be like, man, I ain't never think about it like that. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And this is the blessing of being in the ISUPK under the commanding general Yohana and learning this truth the way that we learning it. because I was looking at the Bible through the eyes of the oppressor, as opposed to looking at the Bible through the eyes of the oppressed. You feel me?
Right.
And it's a big difference. It's a big difference. It makes you want to live amongst your people, but not only just live amongst your people, but help your people.
Right.
And to help your people change. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
It's a big difference. You know? Where was we at?
Amos.
You said Amos. I think we finished that, didn't we?
Yeah.
We finished that. Let's go to, and we're going to jump right there to Psalms 147, 19 and 20. I was about to go there, huh? Boy, I got to cut the hair in my nose, man. This is irritating. Man.
Oh, shit.
I'll give you some tweezers. Something that... Yep, I'm ready.
Psalms 147, chapter 19. He showed his word unto Jacob.
It says, oh, slow down, B. Hey, I know you're excited. It says, he sheweth his word unto Jacob. Who is Jacob? Jacob is the progenitor of the 12 tribes of Israel. Jacob is Israel. His name was changed to Israel after he wrestled with the angel and got a blessing from the angel. The blessing from the angel was the angel changed his name to Israel. He is the progenitor of the 12 tribes of Israel. He had the 12 sons, which each tribe is named after. Okay? Go ahead.
His stature and his judgments unto Israel.
His statutes and his judgments unto Israel. His statutes and his judgments.
The law.
His laws and the judgments for breaking the law. Go ahead. See, that's why in the scripture before it said, he will punish us for our iniquity.
Right.
Because we are under the statutes and the judgments.
Right.
We are under the law and the judgments for breaking the law. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Go ahead.
He hath not dealt so with any nation.
Say that again.
He hath not dealt so with any nation.
It says he hath not dealt so with any nation, any other nation. Listen, these laws, statutes, and commandments were not given to any other nation. These laws, statutes, and commandments were only given to the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, the 12 tribes of Israel. We are the only ones that these laws, statutes, and commandments were given to. He hath not dealt so with any other nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. What does that mean? We were just talking about that earlier. What does that mean?
That means that they have no clue of his law. They don't have the clue of, the consequences for the things that they do.
There you go. That's what I was looking for right there. They are not subject to the judgment for the I can't say sin, for the acts that they do.
Right.
You understand? They are not subject to these judgments that are subject to us. We are subject to the judgments. They are not. They eat too much. If they eat too much pork, yeah, eventually they're going to die. Right? But think about this, right? All right. Deuteronomy 7:6 says what? The Most High made us a special people. Right? He made us a peculiar people. He made us different from them. He made us stronger. He made us better. Right?
Right.
If he made us stronger, he made us better. He made us a peculiar people. He made us a special people. Why is it that we dying from this COVID-19 more than they are? You feel me? Why is it that we dying more? We dying more because we are subject to these judgments.
Right.
That's why we are. And because we being disobedient, because we sin, because we transgress against the Most High, this is the reason why we falling like flies. This is the reason why we subject. This is the reason why we being destroyed the way we are. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Because we are the ones that are subject to his judgments. You understand? And it says, he hath not dealt so with any nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. They are not subject to these judgments. Yeah, they're going to suffer for the things that they do, but they don't suffer in the way that we suffer. They don't suffer in the way that we suffer because we are subject to these laws, statutes, and commandments. And when we transgress against the Most High, we have to pay for our sin. We have to pay for our iniquity. These are the things that we do. You understand what I'm saying? These are the things that happen to us. You know? When you are, like we said before, when you disobedient to your father, eventually you gonna have to pay. Everything all right? Okay. You disobedient to your father, eventually you gonna have to pay. You understand? And being disobedient and transgressing against the Most High, boom, we have to pay. That's just the way it is. You know? Let's jump to Deuteronomy chapter 4. Verse 5.
Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 5. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it.
It says, behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me. This is Moses speaking to the children of Israel. That ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. No matter where you go, you're supposed to take these laws, statutes, and commandments and live by. No matter whether you're living in Japan, China, Wuhan, no matter whether you're living in Ireland, Europe, Great Britain, UK, no matter where you go at, even in America, you take these laws, statutes, and commandments and you're supposed to live by. Go ahead. Verse 6.
Verse 6. Keep therefore and do them.
It says, keep therefore and do them. Go ahead.
For this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nation.
It says, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations. Listen, if you practice these laws, statutes, basically this is it, right? If you practice these laws, statutes, and commandments and do what the Most High tells you, right? If we do this right now, the oppressor's kingdom would demolish and fall, right? We would rise and they would fall. We would be the head, they would be the tail. Because we would be the head, all of the other nations we would be. It says, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations. They would see that we have the wisdom, the knowledge, and understanding just by following our God. Following these laws, statutes, and commandments. It would be evident to the other nations that we have wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Wisdom, knowledge, and understanding is what? The laws, statutes, and commandments.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? It would be evident to them. Go ahead.
Which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
It says, surely this great nation. Listen, it says, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding. Listen, they called us a great nation because in following the law, statutes, and commandments, you would be a great nation.
Right.
And these people would look up and say, surely these are a great, wise, and understanding people. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Go ahead.
Why wouldn't they say that? I mean, we invented half of the products that's on this planet that everybody uses.
Exactly.
The refrigerator, the ice maker, the the microchip.
But because we don't follow the law, statutes, and commandments, we are not recognized as a great nation. But he's saying, if you follow these law, statutes, and commandments, we would be recognized as a great nation. Think about it right now. We are not even recognized as a nation.
Right.
But we come back to these law, statutes, and commandments, we would be recognized as a great nation. You feel me?
Right.
We would be recognized as a great nation. Right now, these people don't even, these heathen nations and our oppressor don't even recognize us as a nation. Let alone as a people.
Right. That's crazy.
As a matter of fact, a lot of them have broken us up into niggas and people.
Right.
Niggas are the dirty ones. You understand? And people are the ones who obey us. They broke us into two different people. Not even a nation. They broke us into two different people. We are a nation of niggas and slaves. Right? We all slaves, point blank. But we got the rebellious niggas and the good house niggas. You got the runaways and you got the house niggas. Mm-hmm. You got the field niggas and you got the house niggas. That's what they look at us as now.
Right.
Field niggas is the one they kill. You understand? House niggas is the one that's on their side. Well, he must have did something. Police ain't killing for nothing. I'm going out there to live where them white people live at. Man, I'm tired of living around these black people. I don't want to live around black people. I'm tired of black people. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
That's just how it is. They look at us. They don't even look at us as a nation. It says, surely this nation is a wise and understanding people. That's a prophecy right there. You hear me? That's a prophecy.
Right.
That's speaking prophecy right there, because eventually that's how it's going to be. These nations are going to look at us and they're going to say, surely these are a great and wise and understanding people. But until we start following the law, statutes, and commandments, this is how it's going to be. You feel me?
Right.
This is just how it's going to be.
Right.
You know, and this is the reason why we get out there on them Saturdays and we speak on those corners. And we try to get our people to come back to the law, statutes, and commandments.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
It's the reason why the Isupk is out there speaking on them Saturdays.
That's
understand?
right.
Under the command of General Yohana.
Right.
You know? Let's do this. Let's go here. Let's go to Judith. In the Apocrypha. Judith. Chapter 5, verse 17.
Ready?
Go ahead. You got it? Oh boy.
Judah,
I'm
chapter
sorry.
5, verse 17. And whistles.
Whilst.
Wallace.
No.
And Wallace.
No. Whilst.
Wallace.
Like wow.
Wow.
For a while.
Right, Wallace. Okay.
Whilst.
And in whilst they sin not before their God, they prosper because the God.
So then. Go ahead, read, start that over again. And whilst
they sin, not before their God, they prosper.
It says, and whilst they sin not before their God, they prosper. You understand that? It says, while they sin not, while they weren't sinning, the whole time they weren't sinning, they prospered. In everything that we did while we were not sinning, we prospered. We prospered in business. We prospered in agriculture. We prospered in families. We prospered in building. While we sin not, we prospered. While they sin not, they prospered. Following these laws, statutes, and commandments, you can only prosper. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Following the laws, statutes, and commandments, you can only prosper. Go ahead.
Because the God that hateth iniquity was with them.
It says, because the God they hate that hated iniquity was with them, because the God that hated sin was with them. Listen, it says, and whilst they sinned not before their God, they prospered. As long as you stay away from sin, you follow these laws, statutes, and commandments, the only way to go is to prosper.
Right.
Because the God that hateth iniquity, the God that hates sin, was with them. Just like Adam and Eve in the garden. The whole time that they were while they sinned not, they were prospering in the garden. You understand what I'm saying? Because the God who hateth iniquity, the God who hateth sin was with them. It was the same thing with us. The whole time that we were, following the law, statutes, and commandments, we prospered. You understand? Because the God that hateth iniquity, the God that hates sin, was with us. Go ahead.
But, verse 18, but when they departed from the way which he appointed them.
When they departed from the way which he appointed them, just like Adam and Eve, when they departed from the way which he appointed them. You understand? Just like Solomon, when he departed from the way that the Most High appointed him. Go ahead.
They were destroyed in many battles, very sore.
They were totally destroyed in a whole lot of battles. Everything, listen. As long as you smoking weed, as long as you eating that shrimp, crab, and lobster, as long as you fornicating, as long as you following the heathen nations, you will be destroyed in many battles very sore. You will be utterly destroyed. You understand? You just will be utterly destroyed. Listen, when you are disobedient to the Most High, you will fall.
Right.
Point blank.
Right.
That's all to it. You understand what I'm saying? Go ahead.
And were led captives into a land that was not theirs.
And was led captive into a land that was not theirs. Listen, who was led captive into a land that was not theirs? Who was led captive into a land that was not theirs?
The Israelites.
The Israelites. We are the ones that came here by way of ship. That's Deuteronomy 28 and 68, right?
There you go.
We were led here by way of ship into a land that was not our own. And we were sold as bondmen and bondwomen. You understand? That's just in the scriptures. Go ahead. And led captive into a land that was not theirs. Read.
And the temple of their God was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by the enemy.
And the temple of their God was cast to the ground. Everything that we believed was cast to the ground. Everything that we believed by the Most High was cast to the ground. And then we got to believing in that, who that? Caesar Borgia. We got to believing that the Most High was white. We got to believing that all of the prophets of the Bible was white. Everything that we believed was cast to the ground. The temples of the Most High was cast to the ground. Go ahead.
That's not it?
And their cities.
Oh, right. And their cities were taken by their enemy.
And the cities were taken by the enemy. Right now, the enemy, our oppressor, owns everything that we live in, around, and on. You understand what I'm saying? And their cities were taken by the enemy. What do we own in our city? What do we own in our neighborhoods? We don't own any supermarkets. We don't own any of the school. Think about it. You gotta send your child to the oppressor to learn a pledge of allegiance to a country that hates him. Think about it. We willingly send our children to the oppressor to learn a pledge to a country that utterly hates us. How low can you go? Think about it, right? We talked about this a couple of weeks ago too. Think about what you're saying. The pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to another country. No people says a pledge of allegiance to a country that hates them but us. You actually have to say a pledge to a country that hates you. And then when you take a kneel on a football field, they kick you out and ridicule you.
Right.
The Constitution was written in 1776, right? Where were you at in 1776? We were enslaved, right? But you got people today asking for their constitutional rights. Where are your rights at in the Constitution?
Right.
Because if I'm not mistaken, in the Constitution, you are 3/5 of a man or 3/5 of a person. You understand what I'm saying? And if I'm not mistaken, that's Article 1, Section 2 in the Constitution. You feel me?
Right.
And you asking for constitutional rights. You don't have any rights by the Constitution. In the Constitution, it starts off by saying what? We the people. You are not even considered a people. As a matter of fact, when it was, like we said before, when it was written, you were a slave. You were a commodity. You were equipment. A tool that could be used and thrown in a corner at will. You could be used and broken at will, and then they could go out and buy another one of you at any time. That's like breaking plastic spoons and forks. I can just go out and buy another box. You understand what I'm saying? That's at will. We don't own anything in our cities. We don't own anything in our neighborhoods. We don't own any corner stores. The heathens own all the corner stores. When I was coming up, all the corner stores were owned by black people.
Right.
All the liquor stores were owned by black people. You know what I mean? All little mom and pop spots where you used to get something to eat from were owned by black people. All little sub shops was owned by black people. That's a thing of the past.
The dry cleaner.
The dry cleaners was owned by black people. You know what I mean? The shoe shops.
The shoe shops
was owned by black people. Remember we used to get your watch fixed at? Used to be owned by black people. All of the stalls down at Lexington Market, damn near all the stalls was owned by black people. That's a thing of the past. You got a generation of children and teenagers that don't even know that that even existed. Guess what that is? That's whitewash. Because eventually when their kids have kids, that's going to be a thing of people going to be saying, let me see that. You got to show me a picture. You understand what I'm saying? Just like in the transatlantic slave trade, what are they calling it now? The transatlantic migration. They are slowly whitewashing things right before your eyes. The transatlantic migration. Can you dig it? That's incredible.
Yes.
We talk about whitewash, and they are actually whitewashing history right here before our eyes, our very eyes. So by the time your grandchildren have children, that's going to be a thing that they're going to be saying, like, you got to show me a picture of that. I don't believe that. That's not in the history books. I don't believe we was ever slaves. We came here willingly. You feel me?
That's what they say.
This is the reason why it's important for us to give our children real history. This is the reason why it's important for us to get back in these laws, statutes, and commandments. This is the reason why it's important for us to get up in this Isupk under the command of General Yohana. So our people can learn the truth.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right. That's heavy that you bring out. You know what I'm saying? It's like now they saying that, you know, we was servants. You know, we came over here, you know.
Servitude.
Mm-hmm. But knowing back in, you know, the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, you know, we've been from roots to Django. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. We already know what happened. Now y'all gonna try to throw a monkey wrench in the system, saying, "Oh, y'all came over here, y'all wanted because y'all feel so bad.
We wanted to come over.
We wanted to come over here,
and then we chose to be slaves.
When we chose to be
a slave.
Good, nothing.
Who chooses to be a slave?
No one.
Nobody chooses to be a slave. Hey, look, I'm gonna wrap this up, right? And with that, we are the Isupk Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under the commanding General Yohana. Exactly, Miss Q, nobody. We have been bringing this truth since 1969. And what is that truth? That the so-called blacks, the so-called Hispanics, and the so-called Native Indians are the true Jews of the Bible, and the white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of. And with that, I'm going to pass the class over to the priest officer, Natazal. This might be behind me in that red book. It might be in this other cabinet. It's not in that. Look. There it is right there.
We are Isupk, coming out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohana. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a brother or sister comes into the class to the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are here to be saluted only. They are here to share themselves with the world. After the 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother or sister will get to quote each other. After the 6 months month period, the brother or sister will get permission from their head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers chapter 18, verse 21. Malachi chapter 3, 8 through 10. Means tenth in Hebrew and is pronounced ma'ashra. 10% of any increase, any penny increase the Lord gives you, give the Treasury Department or a teacher, priest fund. Free will offering, not mandatory, whatsoever you like to give. Upcoming holy events, we got the 51st Passover still, on its way. Check for your school for further details and stay in tune with the grill Commander General Yohana for further details. Remember any argument and aquathon to check on social media such as isubk.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so forth for ISUBK events and material. If a brother wants to become a trooper in the school, then he start wearing all black boots, all black, which include black boots, shirts, pants, headbands, and scarf. And with that, we want to give one courtesy salute to the teacher. Men of Israel, Almighty Shabbat, Almighty Barak, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shabrak Thah,
Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shabrak Thah.
Yahweh Matah, class dismissed.
I was gonna rip his heart out. I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me. Lynx is a conqueror. No, I'm Alexander. He's no Alexander. I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody as ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from Nairclaw. There's no one that can match me.
No affiliation, why they thinking this ain't for debating? We the real, they really imitation. I be contemplating why this ain't no like heavy rotation on radio stations. I just pray the Lord give me patience, cause I'm running through these rappers like my name Walter Payton. Shitting on these rappers, 9 to 5 is my occupation. Raw, you come in with your best troops, you best bring more. Already told you I got the juice like a Renthal. Already know what I'm about to do, bet your men fall. Everyone know that we got the truth, all your men false. So boss, overtaking our enemies. Moves calculated and orchestrated like symphonies. Smooth operated when bringing haters the misery. Top 5 list ain't shit unless you mention me. Yeah, that's why we don't associate. Fuck niggas make them more fuck niggas. Why they procreate? Why they overhate? Cause they time is short and a moment late. Let it culminate to they heart erase and it palpitate. Cowards perpetrate like they little group is respectable. Talking intellectual, all of you homosexuals, faggots.
There's no one like me. I'm from Nairclaw. There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat his
I don't
children.
want to congregate. I don't want to deal with you. I don't want the fellowship. I ain't trying to build with you. Ain't the UPK, ain't the truth. Keep it real with you. Defenders of the faith. I got no problem bumping heads with you. All that bullshit, you can take it over there with you. Rather be a houseboy. Rather run with them field niggas. Show them to put in work. Move mountain, crush hills, nigga. Take a dead soul. Breathe life and make it live, nigga. No affiliation, so it's no one to compare with us. Took the Lord's laws and just added it with fear, nigga. Aim for the body, cause you know that killer head quicker. With these bars, I'm on my grizzly, so bear witness. You spit cold, I spit flu. Don't compare sickness. You floss diamond, I floss fringes. Don't compare dentist. You PK. We men the wall shit, we ain't Christian. Harm one of us, get pistol whipped like the gun got a belt with it. I'm bred different. The competition just a mill. I'm fed different. I stood front line on them fields, I bled different. I'd rather be a corpse than a coward. I'm led different. Shit, I'm led different. Come through like a juggernaut, so don't get in the way. And we take everything serious. We don't play. I wonder now what they gon' say. Shit, we make profits out of shooters like the NBA. You get slayed for switching sides, nigga. We ain't on the same page. Immaculate conception. Wow. These niggas bitch made. I'm sticking with the foundation where my bricks laid. You switch sides, I'd rather switch cage. You was never with us, nigga. Just know we on mission, nigga. Right hand hold the scriptures, nigga. Left hip hold the pistol, nigga. How you want it? You can get it spiritual and physics, nigga. Wrong ones to come against, so bring an army with you. No affiliation. When you see us, make the difference with us. No affiliation. When you see us, know we different, nigga. No affiliation, so
this. Maybe this.
Sometimes a follower is a soldier, trying to find a good ship. Plus when you in hell, how do you excel? Wisdom the breath of life, I believe in fairy tale. Listen well to what I tell. No calling can cause pain. Something that a rebel knows very well. Can't you tell I was sent from the Lord? Got a tongue like a two-edged sword. With trying to find something to follow. Had OC, every man tried to borrow. Felt pain, analyze the song, got betrayed. So back, I didn't even have my heart broke. Living confused, about to lose hope. Cops got me on the side of the road, like a sideshow. Need an antidote before I throw. Now I'm set fire, the real man blues, going into the gospel. Running with no cause, trying to find direction. The world got me vexed. Picked up a bag, nigga had me, that's a hereditary from oppression. But like my life was on fire, trying to find an exit. Now look, TG's busting to the wreck. Sometimes a follower is a soldier, trying to find a good ship. Plus when you in hell, how do you excel? Wisdom the breath of life, I believe in fairy tale. Listen well to what I tell. No calling can cause pain. Something that a rebel knows very well. Can't you tell I was sent from the Lord? Got a tongue like a two-edged sword. With his